Whoa, are we back in the range again? Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy, gamers. We're back, and we got a brand new weapon to look at. This weapon's only been in the game for about 2 days. It's called the Sheriff. And a lot of you guys have been asking, how do I get good with the Sheriff? So I'm going to teach you, because I am the world's best player when it comes to using the Sheriff. You see me hit the most insane clips online, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. No, in all honesty, I'm pretty good with the Sheriff, and I know how to use it pretty well. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about it. We're going to go over a little bit of the gunplay aspects, where it's useful, and then we'll go over a couple practice drills that you can implement into learning the Sheriff better. Now, I think it's very important that people actually learn how to use this weapon, as it is very, very good on eco rounds, but at the same time, you still have the powerhouse, the fucking shorty. So, really, the only reason you should be using the Sheriff is if you know how to use it properly, and you can afford the $800 weapon, because it is, in my opinion, more powerful than the shorty. It's a better buy on a lot of rounds, because the shorty is it's very risky to buy. You really have to it's really reliant on somebody coming to your close angle for you to actually get kills with it, whereas the Sheriff, you can hold many angles and you can actually pick up pretty free kills with it if you play your angles right. So with the Sheriff, this thing does 3 shots to the body for a kill if they are full armor, and it's 2 shots to the body if they have no armor. But with this weapon, you are almost always going to be wanting to aim for the head, because generally the enemy should have full armor, right? So generally you're going to want to be aiming for that head, because 3 shots, as you can see, that takes a long time, and at extreme ranges it's pretty inaccurate. Here, let me show you. So your 3rd shot just misses there if you're just holding it down. So you definitely need to be aiming for the head with this weapon. I will note that past, I think, 50 meters, it's not a one-hit headshot. Let's see. Yeah, past 50 meters, it is only 145 to the head. So you got to keep that in mind. If you're holding a very long, far off angle, you have to keep in mind that you may not actually kill them with a headshot. The damage is 55 to the body. So keep that in mind. Remember that. 55 to the body. That's 3 body shots. And after the 2nd shot, it gets pretty inaccurate. So you definitely want to be going for the head with this. Now, the best way to play with this weapon is to hold angles and to kind of re-peek and wait for people to peek you. So what I mean by that is, let's hop into Haven real quick. So we're here on Ascent, and this isn't really the map I chose, but I guess it's fine. I wanted Haven A site, but this will do. So let's say you have a Sheriff, right? You buy it this round. Now the best way to play this would to be either you decide to go for a more aggressive peak, or you play passive on site. So if you're playing A site, you don't want to play mid with the Sheriff, really. You can play up cat, and you can play in the corridors, but you're not really using much of a range advantage. You have somewhat of a range advantage. The reason you have this weapon is to actually be able to take mid to short range gunfights, right? And realistically be able to win them. But when you put yourself in very short engagements and you get rushed down, you might as well have a shorty right here, right? So it's better that you take a little bit longer fights, maybe down to this area. That's a little bit less than 50 meters, I'd say. And around in this area here too is fine, but I would not recommend really swinging this far out, but you could, right? Landing this should still reasonably be a one-hit headshot. Don't be staring down mid, over from here, and expect to hit a one-hit headshot from this far away, because it's not going to happen. So you need to use your range to your advantage, but not to the point where you're putting yourself in a gunfight where you are basically fully exposed, you're standing out here with the Sheriff, and you have to 1v1 a Vandal like this. Put yourself in an angle like this, or like this, so you can take the shot and you can instantly fall back after you take your first shot. You want to land that first shot. That's very crucial. It's very hard to go for a recovery 2nd shot, especially at range. The recovery time on this weapon is not great. You can take your first 2 shots reasonably accurate, but past that, you aren't going to be very accurate if you keep spamming this weapon. So your first 2 shots are pretty golden when it comes to this weapon. Now, if you're taking an aggressive peek towards a site, and you have the Sheriff, you can take a shot, you can fall back to site, and then you can play around these boxes, and just keep creating angles for yourself, where you only have to fight one person at a time, and you can just play around these boxes, taking 1 or 2 shots at a time, and try not to expose yourself all in the process of doing that. Now this weapon is very good. It's very, very good, because if you are accurate with it, it is a one-hit headshot. You put the enemy player down instantly, and if you are solid enough as a player, you can potentially land 1 to 3 kills with the Sheriff. The most kills I've gotten in a round was 4 with the Sheriff, which is pretty crazy to think you can just pick this weapon up and you can just frag out with it, right? It's a very strong weapon, and its skill ceiling is super high, but once you actually learn how to use it and use it properly, you can shine with this weapon. Now, crosshair placement obviously is going to be very key for this weapon, and it should be pretty obvious. As I said in the Vandal video, crosshair placement is very key, because if you're holding an angle like this, they can just walk into your crosshair, you can take the shot, right? That's all you need to do. You aren't like flicking to their heads or anything. You're not going like this and flicking to their heads. All you are doing is just holding an angle with this thing. That's all you have to do. And if someone walks up on you, try and create yourself an angle that they walk into with the Sheriff, right? You don't want to be like trying to swing them or anything with it. You want to be creating angles for yourself. Don't worry about dying. Don't worry about getting traded as much, but really don't worry about dying, but don't swing out like this. So when you're playing here, if you think you're going to die, don't get scared and like swing out. Just hold this angle, hold your ground, wait for them to walk in your crosshair, potentially get a free kill by doing so. Now that's just one of the main play styles that I see with the Desert Eagle, or the Sheriff, sorry. Is just obviously creating these angles for yourself, falling off, going to a different angle, and just, it's kind of like playing with a mini op, right? Because with the op, you're doing kind of the same thing. You're just creating angles for yourself, and you're re-peeking, or you're going to different angles and you're peeking from, say, here. You know, throw a flash here or something if you're a flash character, cross to the boxes, play around these boxes, take more shots. You have 6 shots. That should be enough to secure a couple kills if you are pretty solid with it. Now, this is all if you are comfortable with the weapon. If you are not comfortable with the weapon, then a lot of players are going to be spamming with it. I notice a lot of players like to spam with the Sheriff, and it's not very effective. You might as well just have a shorty, or maybe even just a frenzy at that point, or a ghost, right? The Sheriff is very, very good at holding angles and giving yourself these duels that you can very easily come out on top in, right? Like, you can give yourself 1v1s that you can very easily win by using the Sheriff if you use it properly and you play it right. You don't have to have stellar aim to be good with the Sheriff. All you really need to have is good crosshair placement. You don't really need the aim aspect. Good crosshair placement and staying calm. Because if you panic with this weapon, you die. Like, it's as simple as that. You need to be very calm when you use this weapon. If you are like freaking out and you're like panicking, you're going to start like spamming with this thing, and you're going to get really scared and you're going to end up dying. And that's where the main practice comes in, is staying calm. And I'm going to kind of explain what I mean by that in Deathmatch here. But first I'm going to take you into the training range, and I'm going to show you some drills that you can actually do with the Sheriff. Alright, so we in the range, fellas. We in the range. And what you can do to practice with this thing is getting used to the first 2 shots and the speed that it actually takes you to properly recover from them. So in this range, all you are doing is you are kind of getting used to the recovery time. So the time it takes your gun to actually reset to the point where you can actually shoot again properly. And it's about the intervals you're seeing on screen. If I can just shoot this thing accurately for a second. So when I shoot this weapon, usually I do a little micro strafe afterwards, and then I shoot again. That's kind of how I play with this thing, right? So I'll take my first shot, and I'll micro strafe, and I'll take another shot right away. And a micro strafe is obviously just a very small stutter step to actually kind of get you back into position, or to move yourself around, reset the accuracy a little bit. So you shoot, you move, you stop, you shoot. And like I said, I'm not very good at explaining like stutter stepping, 80 stepping, strafing, all that. But basically all you are doing is you are shooting, waiting for your weapon to recover, shooting again. You don't have to stutter step. You can just shoot like this and get used to the recovery time that way. But the way I have learned, and the way that is best for me, is I'll take a shot, I'll move, and then I'll stop, and then I'll shoot again. And that seems to work out very well for me. So that's kind of like the main practice for this thing. Another good practice would be like spam practice, so you can actually understand how fucking terrible it is when you're spamming it. Just shoot it a couple times, see for yourself, see how inaccurate this thing is when you're trying to spam with it. Even while crouching, it's piss poor. It's piss poor accuracy, right? So make sure that you are not spamming with this weapon. That's like the biggest thing I could harp on. So get used to your recovery time by just sitting in here and shooting, taking your time, getting to the head, and taking your shots. Take it slow, take it easy. Don't stress yourself out when you're using this weapon. That's the biggest thing I can say about this. So I'm going to go into Deathmatch real quick, and I'm going to talk about it. So while you are in Deathmatch, there's a lot of things you actually need to keep track of. And while you're in Deathmatch, it's very important that you don't just run around just shooting at everything. You need to be very careful with the way you play. And I wouldn't say methodical, because obviously it's still a Deathmatch, right? But take the angles and take every duel you take as like a real game situation, like you're pinned on a site and you got people pushing you. Try and treat it like that. And at the same time, avoid getting like super stressed out about what's going on around you. You know, stay calm and take your time with your shots. And remember, you have to stand completely still. So if you can't micro strafe, then that's fine, right? Obviously, just stand still and take your shots, or hold an angle with the deagle, right? Now, I will say this, being calm is probably one of the most important things to learn while mastering this weapon. If you are not calm, you will not succeed in using this thing. You will freak out, and you won't be able to aim for the head properly, and you'll just start spamming half the time. I know, because there are times when I freak out when using the deagle, and almost every single time, it causes me to die. So when I'm in Deathmatch and I actually use this thing, my main focus is to just remain calm and take my time with every shot I take. Adjust to the head, take a shot. If I miss, don't worry about dying. Don't start spamming. Take your time and adjust again and go for the next shot. The thing with the Desert Eagle, the thing with the Sheriff, is that a lot of people don't really realize that even in real games, people miss, right? If you miss that first shot, it's no big deal. If you can't get back to cover, don't start spamming and freaking out. Try and recover for that second shot, because the chances of you hitting that second recovery shot, if you remain calm, are much higher than the chances of you just spamming and getting a kill. In my personal opinion, at least. That's the way I look at it. If you are able to actually properly stay calm and take your time with your shots, you will succeed with this thing. But if you freak the fuck out, which is exactly what you're trying to avoid, then you're going to spam and you're going to miss shots. So that is what I really want you guys to focus on when you're using the Sheriff, is just remaining calm and taking your time with each shot, trying to get a feel for the recovery time with the weapon. Learning the recovery time is crucial. Learning when you can shoot with it is extremely important. Learning the range of it, the damage drop off, and how accurately you can shoot for the body and how accurately you can spam with it is also very, very important. The Deagle or the Sheriff is unlike any other weapon in Valorant, so I'd recommend, obviously, deathmatching with it separately if you want to learn how to be good with it. It's such a good, solid weapon that you can just buy on eco rounds and potentially secure rounds because you have this thing in your pocket. If you have this thing, you can easily, and I mean easily, win gunfights with people with Vandals if you just play your gunfights right, you play them smart, and you take your time with the shots. So that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on in this video. I basically just talked about staying calm, learning obviously the mechanics and the gunplay of the weapon, and learning what works with it and what doesn't work. That's really all you need to focus on, right? Do the aim drills in the practice range, learn its recovery time, and once you've got that down, take it into Deathmatch and get better with it. And not only will you get better with the Sheriff, but by using the Sheriff, I guarantee you will increase your core gunplay mechanic just solely by understanding the principles of the Sheriff. It'll help you get better at tapping, it'll help you get much better at crosshair placement, and it'll help you get better at staying calm in very stressful situations. So that's pretty much all I really wanted to cover here. If you guys have any questions about this, or you want to argue with me about it in the comments, or you have something to add, just go ahead and leave it in the comments, and I will try and get back to you. If you guys think I said anything wrong, just go ahead, let me know in the comments exactly what you guys thought was off about it. I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good day.